Hey guys, welcome back to another week with me. I have been super excited about this week's episode because we are finally announcing August's House Points winner. So it is the first House Cup that I have done on my YouTube channel. I did not get a cup, I did not make a cup. So I have the sorting hat here that I made last week who is going to tell us who the winner is. Today, our video will be about the four founders and I will be doing them in the order in which that the points were ranked. So first, second, third, and fourth will be how the founders are ordered in this video, starting off with the winner, Hufflepuff. Seriously, you guys won by a landslide. Hufflepuff had 240 points compared to Slytherin's 90 for second place. I am amazed, baffled, so honored, and I love Hufflepuff so much. I have so many good friends in Hufflepuff. My best friend is a Hufflepuff. I love you guys. Thanks for being here. And since Hufflepuff won the first month, you guys get to pick next week's YouTube video. So in the comments, Hufflepuffs comment with yellow hearts and tell me your ideas if you guys want to vote on them. How am I going to do this? So I'm going to start a little Hufflepuff comment thread at the end of this video, and you guys can either drop suggestions and then vote on them, and whichever comment has the most votes with Hufflepuff hearts next to their comment, that will be the one that gets chosen for next week's video. And then just a little, and then just a few little life updates. In 2 weeks, I will be moving from my current home up to New York City. So the move is finally happening. I've signed a lease. I'm moving. I'm getting out of here. My dreams are coming true. And I couldn't be more excited. So next week will be the Hufflepuff chosen video. And then the week after, I will actually be putting up a vlog on my moving journey. It's a 13-hour move. My father and I are driving across the country together. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And then after that, somebody else is going to be editing my YouTube videos, and it's not going to be me. And I'm so excited. My roommate that I'm living with, roommate that I will be living with will be editing my videos, and I cannot wait to just hand this over and be fucking done with it on my end. You guys have no idea how excited I am to not edit these fucking videos anymore. And the best part is he has a professional camera I can use. And he's got a video game console. He's got like a PS5, I think. So I can start doing gameplay and shit too. It's all happening, guys. Okay, anyway, on to this week's content. Starting off with Helga Hufflepuff, who honestly, out of all the founder stories, I really do like hers the most. She's cool as hell. She is the one that brought house elves to Hogwarts. She's the one that started all the feasts in the Great Hall. Sorry, words are hard. I'm exhausted. I've been doing a lot of shit lately. So she was incredibly gifted in cooking charms. She was really good at that kind of stuff. And so it was her recipes that started these feasts, and her recipes are still used to this day. So her legacy really lives on at Hogwarts. And she didn't just employ house elves at Hogwarts. She was the Hermione of her age. You know, it wasn't a full-on spew, but she made sure they had good conditions, that they were taken care of, and they were safe, and they were not abused. So she gave house elves a safe place to continue to work, but not be harmed in any way. I'm not exactly sure what the wages were or if every house elf that worked at Hogwarts got a working wage, but we do know that when Dobby got hired on, Dumbledore did offer to pay him, gave him days off, the whole shebang. Helga was born in the 10th century and she was from Welsh. It is rumored or lore, it's also in her lore that she was really good childhood friends with Rowena Ravenclaw, and that somehow all four of these founders were friends and ended up building a school together. One of her greatest values was that despite the fact that obviously Salazar had his own values and positions in mind, Godric and Rowena also picked their students based off their values, whereas Helga Hufflepuff was just, if you're willing to work hard, if you care about learning, she'll take anybody regardless of their values. So she was incredibly accepting and fair of all students. So she didn't have strict rules and guidelines as far as what the values had to be of her students in order to wear the colors of her house. She took anybody that was willing to be there. So it's a really wonderful house to be in. Very accepting, very fair, very kind. Side note, I just want you guys to know that Oliver is scared of the sorting hat. He's like walking around on the floor staring at it and trying to sniff at it, but he won't touch it. And he's scared of the sorting hat. Now, we do know that Helga Hufflepuff had descendants. We don't know any directly related descendants from her time period. but we can infer that because Hepzibah Smith had the that is such a tongue twister, because that name is so hard, Hepzibah Smith had the Hufflepuff cup, it is assumed that she is a descendant of Hufflepuff, and her son, Zachariah Smith, who we read about in the Harry Potter series, and Ginny does a bat bogey hex on him. She runs into him when he's doing commentary on a Quidditch game. He really pisses off Ginny, but he is the living descendant that is currently going through life right now because his mother was killed by Tom Riddle for both the cup and the Slytherin locket. Now the house points start over for this month, and if you comment with the house color or the color heart of your house, so red, green, yellow, or blue, you get 10 points to your house. They are calculated at the end of every month and announced on the first of every month after making sure, depending on what day the YouTube falls. I don't even remember what day this one ends. So the first Sunday/Monday after my last YouTube video will be the announcement of September. That's all I have on Helga. So moving on to second place with 90 points is Slytherin. Now, we really know his lore on he founded the school. By the way, the school was founded in 993. Forgot to say that. Peeves came with the school, by the way. He just appeared, and the poltergeist began wreaking havoc just simply based on the fact that there were mass amounts of children causing havoc within one place. So the poltergeist appeared. Peeves came with Hogwarts. Now we're here. And we learn a lot about Salazar Slytherin and Hogwarts Legacy too. And as a Slytherin, I had a ton of fun with that. Also, I don't know why, but Slytherin and Gryffindor give same word, different fonts vibes to me. They're very similar, but the opposite of one another at the same time. Whereas Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw don't really give those vibes, but Gryffindor and Slytherin do. Like, they're both very determined houses, but where Gryffindor is more courage, Slytherin is more clever and cunning, but they're both very determined. There's a lot I have to say about the comparisons of Slytherin to Gryffindor. But fun fact, when the school was first founded, Salazar was actually able to teach dark arts and was able to teach the Cruciatus Curse and the Imperius Curse. So if you played Hogwarts Legacy, I would love to know in the comments if you chose to learn the curses and if you ever use them. As a Slytherin, I go into a battle where there's multiple things, multiple creatures, multiple people. I'm Imperioing everyone and focusing on one person at a time. I'm like, I'll worry about you later. Imperio. Honestly, I never really use Avada Kedavra. I just use Imperio. I don't even like Crucio. I don't feel like it does a lot. Imperio is my favorite. Now, some of Salazar's early history lore is that he actually crafted his own wand out of snakewood. He was very gifted in wand making, and he made his own, and it had this very unique ability to be able to sleep. So if you watched my videos on the Gaunt family line, you know that it got passed down through the family, and there was a woman named Gormith Gaunt who had the wand and knew that it could be put to sleep by speaking Parseltongue to it. And then her niece, Isabel, if I'm remembering correctly, Isabel, Gormith had killed Isabel's parents and taken her in to teach her the Gaunt family ways, make her, hate, but the pure blood family ways type shit. And can you see it in the camera? The cat sniffing the sorting hat. He doesn't understand. He's like, what the fuck is this? I really hope it doesn't fall on him because then he'll be terrified. But anyway, when Isabel ran away from Gormith's home, once she finally got away, she stole the wand. And then when Gormith finally tracked her down in America and tried to murder her and her family, she was able to turn Isabel's wand off because Isabel didn't know that that was possible, despite the fact that she could speak Parseltongue. She didn't know how to turn it back on. And the wand just stayed asleep forever. And Isabel buried it in the grounds on Ilvermorny School, and it turned into this absolutely massive snakewood tree that had incredible medicinal properties. Other things that we learn about Salazar and Hogwarts Legacy is his scriptorium, where you have to use the Cruciatus Curse to get inside, and you see Ominous's aunt that is dead in the foyer of it. I don't know a better word than foyer, right before you in the door where you have to use Cruciatus because she didn't have anybody to use it on. She went by herself, and you need two people, and one person has to use Cruciatus on the other one. So it was very twisted. It was very clever in a really dark sense. It was almost like you had to know that you had to use Cruciatus before you went down, because otherwise you're just trapped in there. So if you didn't know, if you weren't a descendant of Salazar and you didn't know that that was going to happen, then you wouldn't have brought someone with you to use this curse on. There's a lot to be said about the Salazar line slash Gaunt line and how they inbred so deeply in order to keep Parseltongue and all of the secrets in the family. Actually, I had a commenter on one of my Horcrux videos on YouTube say something along the lines of maybe making a Horcrux is somewhat hereditary, as you know, Voldemort was the only other person able to do it besides Herpo the Foul. So maybe Salazar was a descendant of Herpo the Foul and he tried to do it himself. I have a whole theory that I think Salazar died trying to make a Horcrux, and that is why he built the Chamber of Secrets, to be able to create a Horcrux, because you need a basilisk to make a Horcrux in the first place. And it's not that you need a basilisk to make a Horcrux, you need a basilisk to start the process, and that you become immune to the basilisk venom by slowly dosing yourself on it. So he made this whole chamber to, dose himself on the venom, start the process, and then go out and make his Horcruxes. So on the Wombat test, Wizard's Ordinary Basic Aptitude test, I remembered it. On the Wombat test, there's this whole question, and it basically alludes to the fact that Salazar had come back to Hogwarts in his old age and reconciled with the other three founders and was like, I'm sorry, I acted like a butthead. Can we be friends again? Like, I'm cool now, I promise. And I was like, nobody feels that strongly. Nobody has a relic that summons an army of Inferi. Nobody has a fucking basilisk and wants to come back and just change their minds about Muggleborns. So I fully 100% believe he came back for his basilisk and died in the chambers trying to make his own Horcrux, and it failed. Now, something you might not know about Salazar is that he actually met Godric in Godric's Hollow. They were childhood friends, and he fully, even in his little diary entry that you read in Hogwarts Legacy, he was most taken aback by the fact that Godric didn't believe in him and didn't follow in his beliefs. So I've even made comments on my TikTok page before where I was like, Godric and Salazar are giving Dumbledore Grindelwald vibes to me. It is very Dumbledore Grindelwald vibes in Fantastic Beasts, especially the third one. Growing up together, talking about your ideals, talking about how powerful wizards are, talking about the great things you're going to do one day, and then Salazar takes a hard left turn and Godric's like, wait, where are you going with that? I never agreed to that. That's a little too far for me. But supposedly they had gotten into a huge fight while Salazar was like, fine, I'm leaving the school after this, because he was like, no, Muggleborn shouldn't be in there. So him and Godric got into this huge fight. Supposedly, I think it had to have been a duel, because Godric is a renowned greatest duelist of his time in both wands and swords. And I think they got into a huge fight, and it was a fight between the two of them that forced Salazar to leave the school. Now, unfortunately, Gryffindor was in last place. So for third place, we need to talk about Ravenclaw next, who had 70 points for this month's of October's house points. Rowena was insanely influential in the starting of Hogwarts. Not only did she design the changing staircases, which is cool as shit, she also was the one who found the location and named it. Literally just based off of a dream. Rowena had this dream where a warty hog, led her to these cliffs where there was a lake and all of this other stuff going on. And she was like, that's it. That is the location, and it will be called Hogwarts. Rowena valued the sharp-minded, the creative, and the clever-minded. She truly valued intelligence and thinking with great logic, and also creative thinking outside of the box, not just I'm a robot and I know a bunch of facts. She valued very creative thinkers. And her diadem is also said to grant wisdom to its wearer. And besides Godric Gryffindor's sword, it's the only one that seems to have any special meaning or power outside of Voldemort turning it into a Horcrux. Her story is quite tragic compared to the others, and she is the only founder who has an actual known direct descendant. Whether you pronounce it Helena or Helena, I think it might be Helena, but I think I say Helena, and I butcher it. Anyway, her daughter Helena was the only known descendant. We have no idea who her father was, but she was at Hogwarts and she was taught by her mother and the other three founders. She wanted to become more clever and more important than her mother, and that is why she stole the diadem and ran away and hid it in a hollowed out tree in Albania. And I'm so sorry. There is nothing significant that I can find as to why so much shit went down in Albania, why Helena chose Albania, why Voldemort chose Albania. Besides the fact that it is remote, there's a bunch of forests, there's not a lot of muggles around, it's easy to hide in the forest. There is nothing significant that I can find because I've thought about it for years and I get this question all the time. And unfortunately, there's not a cool answer. It's pretty disappointing. That's all it is. So anyway, Helena's camped out in Albania. She's like, I'm not coming back. This diadem's mine. Now, the Bloody Baron, who was alive at the time and was a human being who was living, her mother, Rowena, knew that the Baron was in love with her daughter and had always been in love with her daughter. But I don't think Helena returned the feelings. I think she was always just like, no, I want to be more important than my mother, and that's the only thing that matters to me. So Rowena sent the Baron after her daughter, and he found her in Albania, and he was like, please come back. Please marry me. I love you. Let's fix this. Like, let's go back to your mom. And she was like, no, I'm not going. I'm staying here. And he just did not have control over his emotions. He didn't know how to do any breathing exercises. And so the Baron got super angry and stabbed her to death and then offed himself. And I'm pretty sure that that's how he got his name, the Bloody Baron. And yeah, after that, they both return to Hogwarts as ghosts, and it's a really tragic story. And it's also very weird that we don't ever see them interact as ghosts, but that doesn't mean they don't. I mean, they've both been at that school since the 900s. So I don't know. I'm sure their ghosts have interacted at some point in the 1,000 years that they were there together. 1,000 years. That's a long time. Now, according to Helena's ghost, it was her betrayal that caused her mother to fall ill, potentially because of heartbreak. She also hid the heartbreak and the betrayal of her daughter from the other three founders. So just keeping all that inside of her probably just rotted her heart into death. And she died a very tragic end. And she's also the only only founder that we actually know how she died. And with 50 points, we have Gryffindor, who arguably has one of the most interesting stories out of the four founders. As we know, his birthplace was Godric's Hollow, and like I've already mentioned in Salazar's story, he met Salazar there, he grew up there, and then he went off to Hogwarts after, his three friends was like, hey, let's start a school. Rowena just had a dream. I think we should do this. Gryffindor valued courage, chivalry, the lion-hearted. And while we don't know for sure if any of the other artifacts of these three founders could be pulled from the Sorting Hat, we do know that the sword could be pulled. Personally, I think the sword was the only one that could have ever been pulled from the hat because the hat was actually Gryffindor's just regular, ordinary, day-to-day wizarding hat that he walked around wearing all the time. And they were like, damn, what are we going to do when we die? Just having a really more morbid conversation. They're like, what happens when we die? Like, how are we going to sort houses? And Godric was like, okay, here's my hat. And they imbued this hat with their values, with their characteristics, with their own almost like essence of who they are and what they've been representing in their houses so that the hat could continue on their legacy. What I think is most interesting about Godric's life story is that the sword was made by a goblin called, Now, what I think is most interesting about Godric's life story is that his sword was named by a goblin, Ragnuk, Ragnok, or maybe it was UK, Ragnuk, whatever it was. And essentially, he made the sword and then went to the rest of the goblins and was like, yo, Godric stole our sword. That was goblin made, and he stole it, and it's rightfully ours. So that's why Griphook was like, that sword is goblin property, because goblins truly believe that it is their property. They made it, and after Godric died, it should have been returned to them. But even before that, the goblins that made it tried to frame him for stealing it, and he was like, I didn't steal it. You gave it to me. You made it for me. Has my name on it, first of all. And he was like, I don't want to use it, but if you threaten me, I will use it. And so they were like, okay. And then they were like, when he dies, it's ours then. But then it was never returned. And that's why Griphook wanted it so bad. And like I had also already mentioned, Godric was the best duelist of his time, not just in wands, but in swords. And he was incredibly fair. He never used his magic against muggles. He respected them. And if, something ever happened, he would sword fight them. He wouldn't use magic. He would sword fight them, and he would do his best to make it a fair fight, even if his skills outmatched his opponent. It was what truly, and I think was one of his best qualities, was that he always made it a fair fight, because in his mind it just made him a better duelist in working hard and giving himself different challenges to make it a fair fight for the other person. Like if you've seen Princess Bride, where they're sword fighting with their left hands and he's like, I have something to tell you, I'm actually right-handed. That kind of shit. And again, like I already said in Salazar's story, because I couldn't help myself, because their stories are intertwined to me, and I couldn't help it. Salazar, Gryffindor dueled, Salazar left the school, and yeah. I am really looking forward to what the Hufflepuffs decide for me to do next week. Go easy on me. I'm packing my house. I've got a lot going on right now, but I'm looking forward to this. I hope that is fun for you guys. I hope that this works out well. If there's a better way for me to kind of go about doing this for the house winner of each month, please let me know a better way I can handle this. That was just kind of the only idea I had. It was the only thing that made sense without having you guys go to, another page or a Google Doc or have this whole fucking thing go on. I didn't want to make it complicated. So I'm just going to make a comment thread for Hufflepuffs. You guys can vote. Whichever one has the most votes, that's what gets done. So tell your Hufflepuff friends to vote. If you are in another house, sorry, I hope you win next month. Comment with your houses every month or every week, and hopefully you'll win. And then the winner of next month will get to choose a video next month. But yeah, as always, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for all of your love and support. And thanks for being here with me. And thank you for writing it out through all of this shitty editing and all of the stuff that goes on. And I'm really excited to take this next step with you guys. So thanks for sticking with me, and thanks for being here from day one. I love you. Bye.